For years, pickup trucks were sold as the toughest thing you could put in your driveway. Consumer Reports just put that idea to the test. In its latest annual reliability survey, the group collected feedback on roughly 380,000 vehicles from its members. And when the numbers came back, pickups did not just struggle. As a category, trucks landed dead last against every other type of vehicle, with an average reliability score of 41 out of 100. Cars, minivans, and SUVs all scored higher. Today, I am walking through 11 trucks that Consumer Reports and federal safety regulators flagged with the most serious problems for the 2026 model year. I will cover the real complaints owners are filing, the recalls attached to each one, and I will finish with the full-size truck that Consumer Reports ranked at the very bottom of its list. If you are shopping for a truck right now, or you know someone who is, subscribe before you go any further. I read through the owner complaints, the survey data, and the recall filings on every major model so you can walk into a dealership already knowing what breaks. Alright, let us get into the countdown. Starting at number 11, the Toyota Tundra. This one earns its spot for its recent history more than its present. When Toyota redesigned the Tundra for the 2022 model year, it moved to a new twin-turbo V6, and the early engines had a serious problem. Toyota recalled a large number of 2022 through 2024 trucks after finding that manufacturing debris left inside the engine could damage the main bearings, in some cases causing the engine to fail. That is a frightening issue, and it is fair that owners still remember it. Here is the part the angrier videos leave out. Consumer Reports says the newer trucks have improved, and its data now rates the 2026 Tundra as average for predicted reliability. Toyota also issued a separate recall covering the rear-view camera display on many 2022 through 2025 models because the image could fail when a driver was backing up. So the Tundra is not the disaster it was 2 years ago. It is a truck that had a rough restart and appears to be climbing back. Number 10. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. This is one of the best-selling vehicles in America, and it carries two separate engine stories. The larger 6.2-liter V8 was hit with a major recall after reports of crankshaft and connecting rod failures that could cause the engine to lose power, in some cases leaving drivers stranded. The smaller 5.3-liter V8 has its own long-running complaint tied to the cylinder deactivation lifters, which owners and mechanics have linked to misfires and internal damage. On top of the engines, Consumer Reports members have reported a range of electrical problems on the Silverado, from lights and gauges to power accessories. For a truck at this price, that combination is why it keeps landing near the bottom of the list. Number 9. The Jeep Gladiator. Consumer Reports ranks the Jeep brand dead last for reliability, and it has held that position for 3 years running. The Gladiator shares most of its hardware with the Wrangler, including the solid front axle, and that brings a problem owners have documented for years. It is often called the death wobble. Hit a bump at the wrong speed and the steering can shake hard enough to force you to slow down. It is generally traced to worn steering and suspension components rather than one single failing part. Gladiator owners have also reported battery and electrical complaints, which is a recurring theme across the Jeep lineup in the survey data. Number 8. The GMC Sierra 1500. The Sierra is built on the same platform as the Silverado 1500, so it inherits the same engine concerns. The 6.2-liter V8 recall applies here too, and so does the 5.3-liter lifter complaint, because these are essentially the same trucks wearing different badges. Where the Sierra adds its own frustration is at the loaded high trim levels. Owners of expensive Denali models have reported electrical gremlins and battery drain from the long list of powered accessories. Paying luxury money and then jump-starting the truck in your own driveway is not the experience GMC is advertising. Number 7. The GMC Sierra 2500 HD. Once you move into the heavy-duty trucks, the buyers are people who actually work them, and that is exactly where these trucks are struggling. Consumer Reports and owner reports point to transmission concerns and emissions system faults on General Motors' heavy-duty diesels. When the emissions hardware fails, the truck can drop into a reduced power mode and limit your speed until it is serviced. And when you are loaded and on a schedule, that is a real problem. Separately, General Motors' light-duty 3-liter Duramax diesel was tied to a thrust-bearing failure that surfaced late last year, so the diesel concerns run across the lineup. Number 6. The Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD. This is the GMC Sierra 2500 HD's twin, so it carries the same heavy-duty diesel transmission and emissions concerns. These are sister trucks sharing the same hardware, which is why they sit side by side on the list. If the Sierra 2500 HD is a problem for you, the Silverado 2500 HD is the same problem with a different badge. Number 5. The Tesla Cybertruck. This truck has passionate fans and equally passionate critics, so I will stick to what the data and the reviewers report. Consumer Reports rates it below average for reliability. Reviewers have consistently flagged poor outward visibility from the thick pillars and the sloped stainless body, which leaves the driver heavily dependent on the camera system. Owners have also reported frustration with the touch-based controls for functions that used to be simple physical buttons, and early build quality complaints have been common for a vehicle at this price. The engineering ambition is real. The early ownership reports are mixed at best. Number 4. The Chevrolet Colorado. Consumer Reports singled out the Colorado as one of the models that stayed unreliable into its second year after the redesign. Owners have reported braking system faults, including dashboard warnings and reduced power modes in cold conditions, along with a transmission shutter during light braking, which is a behavior General Motors has dealt with across several of its vehicles. Software updates have addressed some of the infotainment complaints, but the mechanical issues are the ones that keep showing up in the data. Number 3. The GMC Canyon. The Canyon is the Colorado's mechanical twin, and Consumer Reports lists it right alongside the Colorado as staying unreliable in its second year. It runs on the same platform, shares the same complaints, and lands this high on the list for the same reasons. Number 2. The Rivian R1T. Consumer Reports named the Rivian R1T the least reliable electric truck in its latest data, and it rates Rivian near the very bottom of all brands. The company has genuinely improved its software over time through updates, and owners often say they still love the truck. The harder problem is hardware. Owners have reported suspension and drivetrain issues, along with 12-volt battery failures that can leave the truck unable to start. Rivian's service network is still thin across much of the country, which means a repair can involve a long wait and a trip to a distant service center. When the fix is not something your local shop can handle, the downtime adds up fast. And that brings us to number 1, the Ram 1500. Consumer Reports ranked the Ram 1500 at the very bottom of its full-size truck reliability list for 2026, and the brand sits well below average in other surveys as well. There is a lot going on here. Start with the new engine. Ram replaced its V8 with the 3-liter Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6, and early owners have reported check engine lights, misfire codes, and cooling system trouble, including thermostat and coolant fitting problems on very low mileage trucks. Some owners have also seen catalytic converter overheating, which Consumer Reports and technicians generally trace back to those misfire and fuel mixture issues rather than to a single failing part. Stellantis has pushed software updates to manage it, and a law firm is now investigating a class action claim over the 2025 Hurricane trucks. Here is a fair correction to something you may have heard elsewhere. The high-output Hurricane recommends premium fuel, but Ram's own chief engineer has said it will run on regular 87 octane with less power, protected by the NOx sensors. So the idea that regular gas instantly destroys the engine is overstated. Buyers who chose the returning Hemi V8 have their own list, including the familiar lifter tick and the exhaust manifold bolt complaints. On the electrical side, owners have reported battery drain, infotainment glitches, and even blank instrument clusters, which is a genuine concern on a truck where the screen is the main gauge display. And there is a federal recall filed with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration covering more than 450,000 Stellantis vehicles, including the Ram 1500, over a trailer wiring fault that can disable the trailer brakes and lights. Put all of that on a brand new truck, and you can see why Consumer Reports placed it last. So here is my honest take. A low reliability score on a new model often reflects first-year and redesign problems. And some of these trucks, the Tundra especially, are already climbing back as the manufacturers work through the issues. Others are still figuring it out. If you are cross-shopping any of these right now, the smartest move is to check whether the exact model year and engine you are looking at has had its recalls completed before you sign anything. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these trucks do you own, and has your experience matched what Consumer Reports found, or has yours been rock solid? Tell me in the comments, because other buyers actually read them. If this breakdown saved you a headache, hit subscribe, and I will keep going through the data truck by truck. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.